Howdy, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are so excited to have you here to talk about customer advocacy. So let me go ahead and pull up our fabulous panelists today. We are going to be joined by Tatiana Sobolevskaya and Jessica Jurmann, who I'll let introduce themselves in just a second. My name is Bree Adams. I manage our customer success team at ChurnZero, and I'm super excited to be moderating this panel. So let me actually pass it over. Tatiana, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tatiana, and I'm a head of customer success in Affise performance marketing platform. I work in a company for 3 years, and for the last year, I'm leading the customer success team. But I worked with the customers my whole life, starting from my first summer job during the university, and I'm very passionate about helping people in achieving the desired goals and outcomes. Interesting fact about me is that I read Harry Potter in 4 different languages.
Amazing. And how about you, Jess?
I'm Jessica. I'm Director of Customer Success at G2. I have over 10 years of customer success experience at leading Chicago-based software companies. I'm really passionate about helping customers get the most value out of the solution they are using. I will also share a little bit of a fun tidbit about myself. I love apple pie, and with Thanksgiving next week, I'm looking forward to making a homemade one for the family. I've been mastering the skills for a few years, so it's pretty good now.
Awesome. Thank you. And because you guys both did fun facts, I guess I'll do one as well. But thanks in part to the pandemic, I read 88 books last year. So if anybody has suggestions, please do post them in our Q&A. So I'm going to pull up the agenda real quick because I want to actually start us off with Tatiana and Jessica's pretty amazing expertise on establishing what customer success really is and what customer advocacy is. So we are going to talk today about how to identify the key points of that strategy, establishing what customer advocacy really is, and what your customer advocacy plan should look like. So at the end of today, we'll leave learning what is customer advocacy, how to get started with your plan, and why to make this an actual focus. So I'm actually going to kick this off real quick with a poll. If you see your poll, it'll be underneath, so go ahead and fill that out. We'll leave that up for a minute or two. While we wait for some of the results of the poll to actually come in, I want to start with a question. What does customer advocacy actually mean to you? So Jess, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Sure. To me, it means focusing on what's best for your customers and working towards delivering products and services to meet or exceed their needs. I think it's pretty simple. It's elevating the customer experience to improve customer satisfaction. Once you increase your customer satisfaction, you can turn customers into brand advocates.
And then Tatiana, what about you? Same question.
I actually very grateful to ChurnZero because you invited me to this particular panel session because here we only talk about our happy customers, our promoters, our advocates, and isn't it a dream for any customer success manager to work with only customers who are really satisfied with their product? But besides that, having brand advocates means to me that the product that I'm running solves someone's problems in such an efficient way that they are ready to recommend it, and that's beautiful.
Absolutely. And we are getting a bunch of results in from this poll. So how often before choosing a product or service do you perform a simple cross-check of the reviews? Looks like just about every time or often. So a lot of great results coming in there. I'll leave that up for just another couple of seconds. Before I actually pull up another poll though, I want to ask you both, why does customer advocacy actually matter? You know, why are we here to talk about this topic today? And Jess, I want to start with you on this one.
Yeah. I think it's a pretty big topic and customer-centric companies are 60% more profitable than companies who do not focus on the customer. We all know it's more cost-effective to retain our current customers than it is to acquire new customers. So we need to make sure we capture our advocates throughout the customer life cycle in order to grow and retain our customers. These customers will help drive revenue, our roadmap, and be your champions when it comes to speaking engagements, webinars, referrals, and a lot more.
Absolutely. Yeah, it seems like this is really a big thing for the entire organization, not just necessarily the customer success team. So Tatiana, same question over to you. Why does customer advocacy matter?
I think that customer advocacy is just the gift for us that keeps on giving all the time. The potential of running an efficient customer advocacy program is really huge. It can actually influence the results not only for your customer success team, but also for many other teams in the company. And today, customer advocacy is becoming very, very popular due to the intensely competitive world in any field. And you need to be differentiated. In many fields, we are not only longer able to compete with pricing or new features or even service that we provide, and we need to stand out. That's why running a specific customer-centric advocacy program is so important, and we need to encourage our customers to provide positive feedback by showing them the value that we can achieve.
I love that, and I love the focus there on encouragement as well. You know, we can ask our customers to do a whole host of things. Doesn't mean they're actually going to do it. So if we can find ways to really encourage them to, you know, put forth this action, that's always a great thing to do. So I'm actually going to kick it over to another poll here. So folks, you'll see that poll down at the bottom of your screen here. How many reviews do you think that you've actually submitted in the last year? So while those results actually start coming in, want to start thinking a little bit about what a customer advocacy strategy should really be internally. So Tatiana, I want to start with you on this one. Tell me a little bit about your customer advocacy strategy.
Yeah, so the background to any advocacy program is the right chosen strategy. And there are many different strategies that can be used for the advocacy program, such as social sharing, customer quotes, case studies, success stories, reviews, referrals, some speaking engagements, like invite your customers to speak in the conference with you, or to webinars. You can create a community. There are many different of them, and but all of them include creating content that actually appeals to your potential buyers. For each business, it's very individual. It depends on the customer base, on the buyer's type, on engagement channel that your company is using, but you need to choose one or several ones that will actually reach your audience. And I think also that the key piece of advocacy program is making sure from our side that the customer is getting something out of the relationship. Make advocacy worth customers' time by supporting their personal and professional goals through exclusive opportunities and rewards that we can provide to our customers.
Amazing. And we are seeing a ton of results coming in. It looks like just about everybody has submitted at least a handful of reviews, with the majority around that 3 to 4 mark. I myself am definitely at least 10 or more, but I'm a little bit crazy about it. So I want to start talking a little bit about the how of a customer advocacy strategy. So we're only about 8 minutes in, and we've covered a lot of ground here, but want to talk about how. So Tatiana, when we're talking about our customer advocacy strategy and actually putting things in motion, where do we start?
I would recommend to start with setting goals. Of course, it's important to set goals that for your organization, that is what your organization is hoping to get out of the advocacy program. Is it more referrals, more new customers, more revenues, whatever it is? But also the success of your advocates is very important. They need to see what is there for them in your advocacy program for them. If being a member of your advocacy community is actually bringing some value to them. That's why after you are ready with setting up your goals and you know what do you want to achieve, you can start with 4 simple steps that we have now on the slide that can apply for any type of the advocacy program that you will choose, any strategy. The first one is to invite. How do you actually find your advocates? Maybe you run some customer service, or you have a net promoter score. So this is great. You can use this database of your customers that you receive the positive response from this customer service and invite them to become your advocates. That's very easy. The second thing that is a bit more tricky is to mobilize your customers to actually participate, encourage them to participate in your advocacy program. It should be based on your goals and lead your customers to the right direction and provide them something that will be beneficial for them in the future. as well by using your product, or maybe they have another like more business goal oriented. The second thing that you can never skip is to reward your customers and show your appreciation by giving them real rewards. For example, discounts, gift cards, you can send them some brand swag, you can provide them to test the product, or free tickets for the conference that they might be interested in. So don't forget to reward your customers, because it's very important, so they will come to you next time. And this leads us actually to the last step, but as you may see, this is a circle. So the last step leads us back to the first one, the re-engage. We can actually get way more than one interaction from our customer. So if you already made a case study or success story with your customer, you can still invite them for a conference to speak to you, or participate in some podcast or webinar, and advocate for you not just once, but many times more.
Yeah, and I love this in such an incredibly simple form, because it really is this rolling wheel. You know, you are absolutely going to start in one place, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to continue going, you know, throughout your life cycle. And one of the things on the reward front that I want to mention, it's a little story I was telling you guys yesterday, but, you know, 3 or 4 years ago when I was applying to jobs, I got the nicest rejection email from a company. And I just still, you know, 3 or 4 years later am referring folks over to that company, because I just felt so rewarded from that experience. And it was just such a simple thing as a thank you for coming in, you know, you're not the right fit sort of thing. So even if you don't have budget and you can't send out these amazing swag packages, or you can't give folks, you know, free tickets to come to one of your events, keep in mind, even a simple thank you note is a very worthwhile reward. So even if you're starting real small, you can still make a lot of these things happen. But I do want to dig in a tiny bit deeper to this cycle here. So in terms of folks who are just getting started, this is really new to them, what do you think is the most important part of this cycle? Where do you think people should apply the first focus? And Tatiana, I'll give that one to you.
Yeah, sure. I would say that I would add for people who are new and they didn't create any advocacy program yet, I would add one more step that is super important, is to track your results after each step. And on each stage, you need to identify what worked well for you, what worked not super well. Identify the reasons, find the gaps that you can fill in the future by adding something, by improving your customer advocacy program. So that's what I would recommend to anyone who is starting, is just set clear goals and track them, keep the track on each of the KPI that you will set for yourself. So this is the recommendation from my side.
Love that. And one thing you'll hear folks at ChurnZero say all the time, if you are tracking something, which you very likely should be, make that item actionable. Don't just track it to tell folks that you're tracking it, or to, you know, tell your CEO that you're tracking something. Make sure that you're actually taking that information and you're applying it to something really important. So, okay, now that we've covered the what, we've covered the why, we've covered the how, I want to talk a little bit more about really digging into the why of this is being so incredibly important. So this time I'm going to pass it over to Jess. Where should we start in terms of why this entire cycle is so very important?
Great question. So the easiest way to identify a strong list of potential candidates to put into your program would be looking at your users who have already submitted higher NPS results. Maybe they're out there in the industry, like submitting reviews on G2, for example. They have high product adoption and usage. They've seen results and have strong ROI with your product. They are thought leaders, maybe in the industry. You see them engaging in speaking events, or you have your decision makers joining your calls, and then you have high engagement. So using the users from your weekly, bi-weekly calls. So this is where I would start, by identifying who should be put in this program right away. But I think this is also, there's something that's like, keep in mind an ongoing strategy. And I really like the idea of building out customer personas for your advocate program. So these, like, 2 examples of this would be like a power user and a strategic decision maker, and then training everyone that's from your client-facing teams. That way your ongoing strategy would be, okay, we can quickly identify the customers that we need to bring into this program based on the persona that we came up with that meets this criteria. The power users will be easy to identify from your weekly, monthly calls. They're very engaged with you. They're the champions who are finding success. But your strategic decision makers are going to be harder to identify. I would focus on multi-threading within the organization to see if you can build relationships with these contacts. If you don't have them today, they could be your contract signers, your champions, your anyone that's like VP and higher at the company. I would usually target as your strategic decision maker.
Yeah, and we just got a great question in from the Q&A. So folks, do post more questions there. We are watching those. But do you differentiate NPS promoters from your advocates, or is that included in your pool of folks that you go after for advocacy?
It's included.
Awesome. Okay, so want to actually pass this over to some personal stories. So I know you both have examples of when this has worked fairly well for you in the past. So just kind of want to start with you here. What is a really good example of this working for you in a present or a past role?
Yeah, I want to share a story about a client who we brought through the sales process after we rolled out our customer advocacy program, and drive home how it really helped from starting from, the initial stage in the prospect funnel, and then like throughout the customer journey. And we partnered with our sales, product, and leadership team to create a program awareness before we launched our advocacy program. So everyone was aware of the goal and where we were going to start. And that would be, okay, let's start, as soon as they're bringing into the sales funnel. And we put this program to the test when we closed the next prospect. Our sales executive mentioned our advocacy program early in the sales process and let them know that they also let the CSM know, hey, they expressed interest in this if the relationship goes well and they see value out of it. And then we it took across multiple channels, like multiple departments, to really hey, we're going to make sure that we give them, I don't like saying this, but the white glove experience. So our implementation team, our CS team, our sales team, everyone really, but they were hands on deck. We brought in the head of product and CTO early in the partnership to gain a good understanding of where the client wanted to go and how we could help them get there. And in our first QBR, we invited a lot of leadership from both sides of the meeting, our side and their side. And the client expressed they were very impressed with our customer service and partnership, and they were willing to introduce us to their other brands to become their provider. And so within a year of partnering with this account, they were a $350,000 deal. We grew their business to almost $1 million and brought 3 more brands into our business from their portfolio. And I mean, they were references for us for their internal brands, but they became thought leaders for us at their conference, joined our CAB, our CAB, Customer Advisory Board, and then they really helped contribute to our roadmap. So I think it's very powerful when your company focuses on being customer-centric and really has a mindset of putting the customer first.
Yeah, and I think, this is such a good example of how customer advocacy is not necessarily an overnight process. Just because you put these things into place doesn't mean that you're going to build a whole bunch of customer advocates really, really quick. It may take time, and that does not mean that it's not worthwhile. Really small story from my side, one of the things that I'm the most proud of at ChurnZero is that every month our entire leadership team from CEO to every department head will actually connect for a meeting, and CSMs and implementation specialists can sign up for a slot and say, I'm having a problem with the customer. I just don't know the best way to continue supporting them. Folks, please come in and give me your ideas. And the entire purpose of this 30-minute slot is so that I can explain, I'm struggling here and I need some great ideas of how we can better support this team, better support this customer moving forward. So I love that you've pulled in all of these people from different places in the organization to really get this, project running and to get this customer feeling really confident and really satisfied. So Tatiana, I know you have a story as well. So tell me a little bit about something that has worked well for you or something that has worked not so well for you, but you've learned from in the past.
Yeah, so my real life example would be actually a really good answer to one of the questions that we have, because I had the chance to look at them, and someone asked to provide a real example how to encourage customers to participate in your customer advocacy program. So we had in our company, we had an NPS running all the time. And once our marketing department asked us how we can improve the number of reviews that we're having on their website, like, G2 or Terra. and because we need to go higher in our affiliate marketing position there. So we just added a small follow-up letter after we received a positive response from a promoter from the NPS survey. We added a letter that asked where we asked customers to actually leave the review, and it worked, but it didn't work super well. Before we added actually the reward, there was one small sentence that changed the game completely, which was offering the customers a gift card for leaving the reviews after they spend 2 minutes, and they can actually gain something from this. And it changed really a lot. We gained a lot of reviews, and we before we were on the 10th position on this reviews website, and we jumped to 3rd one just in a couple of weeks. So this is really the great example of how the reward can work for your customer advocacy program.
Yeah, amazing. And that's a perfect example of this tiny little change, that one sentence that really changed the name of the game. So folks on the line, you can be very creative here, and you can work very simply and still be really effective. So we have a bunch of great questions that are coming into Q&A, a couple that we've already answered. So one thing that I would love to kind of pass over to both of you, we've talked a lot about identifying our customer advocates, growing our pool of advocates. We've talked about the how, the why, and the what. Let's talk a little bit about some tips and strategies for your customers who are not your advocates today, but who you want to turn into your advocates. So what are some tips and tricks that we can use for that? And Tatiana, I'm going to pass this one to you first.
I would recommend to use every moment, every successful conversation with your customer to make them advocate for you. If you feel that your last call went well, just follow up the customer or all the users that you had a conversation with, and try to ask them for a small review, or maybe they want to test something from your platform, like a new feature, and then they can bring some marketing reviews for this new functionality for you. So just use every opportunity to ask your customers for a feedback, and that's probably will be the greatest thing that you can do.
Absolutely. And what about you, Jessica?
I think the most important thing that we can do as a leader is to engage with our customers who are having a less than ideal experience, and ask them some simple questions like, where did we fall short? What are they looking for out of the partnership? What can we improve? Will they give us a chance to make things right if they're, we hear that they might not renew, or if they want to leave us. But I think the key is really listening to the customer, finding out what they want. Do not give up on them. I hear so many people is like, there's no chance to save them. I'm sure we've all had that success story, that there was always the chance to save them. And a lot of customers just want to be heard. They bought your solution for a reason. I'm sure it's a lot more costly to switch providers, re-implement your solution. And train a full team. Like, keep all of those things in mind when going into this, and just asking the customer to give you another chance.
Absolutely. And, I think you've both asked such good questions of what we should ask to our customers to, see, do we have a shot? And if we do have a shot, what are the things that you are willing to let us engage with, as your partner? But one of the tips that I give from ChurnZero is just, if you know that your customer is not necessarily your promoter, that is a very good thing. Your customer voluntarily, most likely, has given you their feedback that, you are not their biggest fan. So that alone is a stepping stone in the right direction, because if they didn't tell you how they were feeling, we wouldn't have a chance to turn it around. So look at your detractors as opportunities. Don't look at them as, these bad days. These are absolutely opportunities to turn things around. So I have a couple of great questions here that I want to kind of pose to both of you. And one of them is just a really fun question, but what is your favorite type of swag or gifts to send your customers? And Jessica, let me hit you first.
I think everyone loves like a soft t-shirt. And in the tech company, I feel like we all have those to give out. I know it's sometimes harder to really decide like, what kind of size to send them. I think always bigger is better. But that's kind of one of the fun one. People love those little tchotchke things. In the past, too, it's funny, for our customer advisory council, we actually ordered little race cars, like remote control race cars, and we sent them to some of our customers. I think that was like more on the unique side.
Awesome. What about you, Tatiana?
I like presents that can be actually used. Myself and also our company is doing very often a nice company swag, like a nice sleeping mask, or like just something like a cover for your laptop, something that actually can be used with the small logo. That's the present that I would like to receive myself, and I think we use it to send it to our customers very often. So this is my favorite swag, something that can actually be of a use.
Perfect. I'll send you the size of my laptop. Just kidding. But so Jessica, we were also talking the other day about, when you're kind of trying to start out your customer advocacy program and, maybe you're getting some pushback from leadership. What are some questions that you would ask yourself or that you would ask other folks on the team to kind of help you get started with, building out what your plan should look like?
Yeah. So in the past, I mean, it's really finding a leader that believes in the same as you that can really help get more buy-in to get more people's attention across the company, and showing them a lot of stats. Like if you Google it, and like the success or like the revenue from having a customer advisory program, the results are out there to tell you how much revenue you can be successful at this by doing this, how much you can retain customers and grow their business. So those are some areas that I would focus on, and just, so having all of this data and stats and kind of your idea in mind, and that it's not necessarily that large of lift. I know it takes some work getting it rolled out, but the benefits are huge.
Awesome. And we have a couple minutes left, so I think we can get to two more questions. Great question that came in through chat. What are your thoughts and feelings on allowing your top advocates to test new products before they actually hit the market? So Tatiana, I want to hear from you first.
I'm pretty positive about allowing your advocates to test. You just need to first of all, tell to your advocate, your customer, whoever he is, that it's a test version, that it's a beta testing. So we expect a lot of feedback, and we are ready to improve something. And the second thing is also a reward for this testing. So this is important. So this is really good to provide any type of customers features for a test, but always don't forget about these two very important things.
Absolutely. What about you, Jessica?
This is a great question. I love having our advocates test everything first. These are usually the people that want to test it, want to give you honest feedback and help you improve the product. And I don't see really any cons of it. They know they're a beta tester. There might be some hiccups in it, but then also, like always, and Tatiana kind of alluded to this, like making sure that they, if you could give them something, maybe you give them the first 6 months of the first year free. Like they're giving you this valuable feedback. They're helping drive this product and make it even better for you.
Love that. And okay, last question. I think we have about 45 seconds, so we'll be quick. In a startup and quickly scaling company, it can be difficult to work in a proactive way to create advocates. So we've talked a little bit about some strategies here, but what are your final tips and advice to handle this hurdle? And Jessica, let me hit you first.
I think I've worked at a lot of startups, so I think it's really, keeping it top of mind when you're working with your CSMs and identifying customers that are engaged and quick wins that you can really help pull those customers in and build up that database. I don't think it has to be this huge lift, and maybe you don't have everyone get involved from every team. Maybe it's just like the leadership of customer success, and you're more involved with the customer and you're joining some calls and you're giving them that strategic guidance. And maybe you do a customer success event later on in the year and you have them, you want to get all of your customers that you've engaged with to join it. So it can be as big as you want to make it, but I think starting small is always, a great place to start.
Awesome. And we are just about over on time. So Tatiana, 30 seconds and then we'll close out.
Yeah, I would say that startups have a lot more opportunities to actually talk to your customers face to face, because when you're already large scaling company, you are gathering more customers, and you are losing these opportunities to reach out to all of them. So identify the opportunities, find them, and react immediately while you are at the startup stage, and to talk to your customers a lot while you have a chance.
Amazing. Well, thank you both of you so much for today. Thank you everybody who listened in. We will be sure to have more of these, so please keep the questions coming, and we'll send a follow-up. But thanks everybody.